أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولقد نصركم الله ببدر وأنتم أذلة فاتقوا الله لعلكم تشكرون صدق الله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. The verse that I recited is from Surah Al-Imran, verse number 123. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the discussions around this ayah are in reference to that first battle in Islam known as the Battle of Badr. Although it was not the first, there were other smaller ghazawat that had taken place, but this is something which was a major conflict with the Quraysh of Mecca. Now there are many, the information and the historical events that are leading up to this highlight the fact that a lot of time it rises in the mind of people that Muslims were the ones who initiated this battle. Although neglecting the fact that there was actually a ghazwa called Ghazwa Badr Ula, the first battle of Badr. And what had happened is that a person by the name Qarz ibn Jabir al-Fihri, who trespassed the outskirts of Medina, and he desecrated and he went ahead and destroyed some of the farms that belonged to the people of Medina. And when Rasulullah found out about this, he sent Zayd ibn Haritha to go look out for this man and to bring him to him. When Zayd went over there, of course, he could not find Qarz. But because Qarz belonged to the clan and he was, from the Quraysh, and he had close contact and he was connected with them, Quraysh of Mecca, this was seen as a politically motivated move. And therefore, when Zayd ibn Haritha, he reached a place called Safwan, he could not find Zayd over there, but he found, he saw what he had done, and therefore he came back and he notified the Holy Prophet about it. And this, meanwhile, there's a news. This probably happened, Jamad al-Ula, and the Battle of Badr takes place in the month of Ramadan, to be precise, 17th of the month of Ramadan. In this while, the Rasulullah, he was keeping an eye on every move the Quraysh were making. And of course, the people with Rasulullah, especially the Muhajirin, who migrated with the Holy Prophet in good faith, they had left everything behind. A lot of their wealth, while they were under persecution in Mecca, was confiscated from them. And in such situations that they had to flee the city of Mecca, leaving behind all of their belongings, their properties, and wealth. When the Holy Prophet found out that a caravan of close to 50-60 men was heading towards Sham with means of trade, of course they had to go through the city of Medina. Back in the day, there weren't many highways that would go across the Arabian Peninsula, and so they had to go through the city of Medina, and there was no other way around it. So Holy Prophet, he set out and he waited for that caravan to come by, and the justification was that because of what that person by the name Qarz had done, and also how Muslims, these Meccans from Mecca, they were derived out of their houses, and a lot of their wealth was taken away from them. It was their right to go ahead and take back what belongs to them. And this would also serve as a big blow to the Quraysh of Mecca if their biggest caravan taking their wealth would be if Rasulullah and the people were able to take it back from them, it would serve as a big blow to them. So with that kept in mind, this was a very important and interesting move. So you find out that the Holy Prophet in this while, he waited and he was looking for, some people to go ahead and keep an eye on them. It's the same way we find that a lot of time, these governments, they have these agencies who are, serving as spies, and they're looking, these agencies who keep the secrets, and they're called secret services. They keep an eye on the interest of their people. Rasulullah also appointed a few people to go ahead and do the same thing. And while they were doing this, on the other hand, Abu Sufyan and his people also found out that, Muhammad, peace be upon him, was waiting for them when they were traveling from Mecca to Sham. And for some reason, they were able to avoid them. But now, on the way back, they will definitely be waiting for them. So he sent forth a few people to go ahead and look out for this. And if that is the case, then inform them to go and inform the Quraysh in Mecca that your wealth and your investment, which I'm bringing back, 50,000 worth of dinar, and the goods is at risk. And the Muslims of Medina, they might go ahead and take all of this because, of course, we're not in any position to defend ourselves. While this was said, these two men from Abu Sufyan, who was heading this caravan, they rushed to the city of Mecca. And they go ahead and inform the leaders of Mecca of the situation. And as Abu Sufyan was making his way down past Medina, he would ask all of the caravans that were traveling up north that what is the situation? What is the situation? And majority of them informed them that yes, the Muslims of Medina, along with the Prophet, are waiting for you. And once you arrive, they'll take away whatever wealth that you have with you. So there was a reason, as I established ahead of time, that there was a battle of Badr prior to this battle of Badr, where this man goes ahead and destroys the farms and the belongings of the people of Medina. Secondly, this could have been seen as a politically motivated move. Thirdly, the wealth of the Muslims is the wealth that Abu Sufyan is carrying in his caravan, is the one that he has done the business with. So therefore, it was halal for them to take back what belongs to them, especially in the time when they were really suffering. They were in a very fragile situation, and it was difficult for them to, deal day-to-day life. Therefore, this message reaches Mecca. And when this message reaches Mecca, Abu Jahl, right away hearing this, he gathers people around. He was waiting for this opportunity. And to show off his army and show off his power and show off what he's able to do, he gathers men. I'll get to some of the specific numbers, but just a background of it. He gathers all of these men, instructing them to get ready. This is our opportunity. This is where we're going to go ahead and teach them a lesson. And we're going to show them, how strong we are. And we're going to go and have some good time while we're at it. We'll enjoy ourselves. And at the same time, we'll go ahead and destroy them as well. This was the intention that the people of Mecca signed up for this battle. And they came along with Abu Jahl. When they made this move, Abu Sufyan, because he found out from the other caravans that Prophet and Muslims are waiting for him, he was somehow find another way to avoid going directly through the city of Medina. And somehow he was able to escape the danger, and he was able to avoid meeting with the Muslims. And when that happened, he again sent some of his men to go ahead and inform the Quraysh and the Meccans that there's no need for conflict anymore. Because the reason for the conflict was that I was in trouble and your wealth was in trouble. Not that I and your wealth both are safe and secure. There really isn't any need for us to get into any sort of conflict. But this is where a person like Abu Jahl, who wanted to take this revenge for a long, long time and wanted to show off, could not resist. He said, we have set out to do this. We're going to enjoy ourselves, and we're going to go ahead and complete what we have set out for. Now, on the other hand, when the Holy Prophet finds out that Abu Sufyan was able to maneuver his way out of Medina without being known, and he's on his way to Makkah and he slipped their hands. And on the other hand, an army is coming from Makkah. Now this, which was going to be just an easy task for Muslims to go ahead and take the belongings from a trade caravan, could now be a serious, conflict with the people of Quraysh. So Rasulullah now warns his people. He sits with them, he tells them, and he asks for their consultation. He asks for their mashwara. At this point, because these are, new Muslims, they haven't been Muslims for a long, long time. This is their first serious task, first serious test for them, which is going to be upcoming. So the Holy Prophet then, at this point, reaches out and he asks that this is what we're facing. Initially, we set out to go ahead and take our belongings, take our wealth from people who weren't carrying, any arsenal with them. But now we might be up against an army which is coming full throttle to us. Now, are you willing to stick with me, or are you willing to leave me here? A man from the Muhajirin by the name Miqdad ibn Amr, he stands up and he said to the Holy Prophet that, "Oh Prophet, we did not come here to leave you by yourself. We are not like the Bani Israel of Hazrat Musa, who said to Musa that you and your Lord go ahead and fight Fir'aun, and we will wait until you achieve the victory. No, we'll stand with you and with your Lord to go ahead and fight the kuffar." Instead, he said, and moreover, he showed a lot of willingness in what is about to happen. And he showed 100%, 100% of the support to the Holy Prophet. At this point, Rasulullah praised this man, Miqdad ibn Amr, for his courage and standing up and speaking on behalf of all of the Muhajirin. And then it wasn't enough. Prophet then turned to Ansar, because they were also at stake. And Prophet asked them the same exact question. Of course, they could have given any answer, that it is your old conflict. It is your old ordeal. Why do you want to get us involved in this? We're peace-loving people. We don't want any conflict. We haven't had any issues. And we want to live peacefully. But they also showed their willingness to stand with the Holy Prophet and not strand him by himself. So we read that the depth of his anxiety that the Holy Prophet was facing at this point, when the Battle of Badr was most important battles of the Islamic battles, and as far as the destiny of the Muslims is concerned, for the first time, these people are put under real pressure. Nothing has happened thus far. And if pagans had achieved victory at this particular battle, it would have been all done for the Muslims. So we can understand the Holy Prophet must be very anxious, going through some anxiety at this moment. In his prayer, it is obvious. He makes this dua before the beginning of the Battle of Badr. He stood up supplicating to his Lord. He said, "God, this is Quraysh. It has come with all its arrogance and boastfulness. God, they're trying to discredit your apostle. God, I ask you to humiliate them tomorrow. God, if this Muslim band will perish today, thou shalt not be worshipped ever." So this is a dua which is coming as a plea from the Holy Prophet. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfills and promises to provide support. Hence the ayat that I recited for you. At this battle, in which the pagan army consisted of 950 fighters, 314 including the Messenger of Allah, the Islamic defense was a combination of 3 defensive lines. Before I get to that defensive lines, Prophet of Islam, he sent, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib and a couple of other people at the night time toward the wells of Badr, to keep an eye as to understand and estimate the number of people that are in the Meccan army. While they were there, they saw a couple of men who were also, getting some water. So the Amir al-Mu'mineen, he apprehended these people, brought them to the Holy Prophet, and the Holy Prophet started asking them questions. The main question was, how many people are there? They said there are a lot. They didn't give a number, but they said there are a lot. He said, but exactly, can you estimate to what extent and what is their number? They responded by saying, we don't know, but they kill about 9 to 10 camels a day. So therefore, a lot of food is being cooked every single day to feed all of these men. So there are a lot. And then it turned out that there were 950 of them. And on the other hand, 313, the number that we've heard for the Muslims. So these three defensive lines, the personality of the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his leadership, his unequaled firmness, that people relied a great deal. He was to the Muslims the final refuge at Battle of Badr, and actually every other battle afterwards. The Hashemite clan of the Holy Prophet, led by Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib ﷺ, who entered the battle relatively obscure and came out with unequaled military fame. Yes, up until this point, nobody really knows who Ali ibn Abi Talib is. Yes, they know that he's the son of Abu Talib, but they haven't really seen much from the shuja'at, the valor, the ilm, and other things of Ali ibn Abi Talib. His military performances became the popular subject of the Arab caravans conversations throughout the Arabian Peninsula after the Battle of Badr. The hundreds of companions of the Prophet, whose hearts were filled with faith and readiness for sacrifice. Many of them viewed martyrdom to be a gain equal to life and victory. That's what differentiates between Muslims and non-Muslims. From the very beginning, this isar, this concept of altruism, and concept of sacrificing yourself for the greater good, and looking at yourself as a martyr who's got superior position and rank in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not those materialistic things that people wrongfully associate. No, they are considered to be the first drop of the blood of a shaheed wipes away all of his sins. Yes. So this was something which was, could not be compared with what was happening on the other side of the ground, as far as the Quraysh were concerned. They were busy in their drinks, in their parties, having a good time, enjoying as if they were on a vacation or something, because they really belittled the Muslims. And they were 3 times their number, with more weapons and, of course, with more animals. So they were thinking that this would have been an easy task for them, so why even worry about it? We'll worry about it when it begins. And even then, we don't need to worry about it because we are stronger and more in number. And that's what it mattered, really. Back in the day, the more your number is, the stronger you were considered. With that said, these good companions of the Holy Prophet were the army of Islam, its first line of defense, and a thick wall behind which the Messenger of Allah stood and was confident. They were the attackers, and they were also the defenders. The battle began with Utbah ibn Rabi'a, son of Walid, and his brother Shayba, all from Umayyad clan. They stood in front of the pagan army and asked the Prophet to send their equals. And in order to respond to what they would consider to be their equals or their duels, hundreds of companions who were with the Prophet, 313 for that matter, they were all expecting to be called by the Prophet, because this is a big thing. There are 3 big men. So who is it that Prophet is going to choose? Here, Prophet chooses every single person from his own family, showing that I'll put my family at risk first before I put my companions. And the reason is, you see, this is the opposite that you see in Karbala. That in Karbala, the companions first sacrificed themselves, and then the family sacrificed. Because there was an opportunity in Badr that they will go unscathed. They will not be suffering. They will not be killed. And therefore, when there's an opportunity for you to survive and be alive, then you send your own first at which is the most vulnerable time, to set the record straight. But in Karbala, we knew what was going to happen, that none of these men will survive. In fact, the one who went early had the easier task, and the one who waited till the end had to suffer a great deal. And that's why Sayyid al-Shuhada, he waited till the last moment until everyone was martyred. So that's the difference between the two strategies that you see, what happened in Karbala and what happened in the Battle of Badr. So when they asked for their jewels and their equals, Rasulullah chose from his family. The load was heavy, and heavy load could be carried only by the people to whom it belonged. And therefore the Holy Prophet called upon Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. He called upon Sayyid al-Shuhada, Hazrat Hamza, his uncle, and he called Ubaydah al-Harith. These were the three men that were called initially, all from the clan of the Holy Prophet, to face the three warriors that were standing in front of them. Imam Ali destroyed Walid with one single blow. Hamza killed Utbah, and then they both assisted Ubaydah in order to against his opponent Shayba. Shayba also died right away. So this was the first strike, which was a big setback to the pagans' army. When the general offense began, hundreds of companions participated in the battle of Badr and sacrificed and gave their sacrifices, placing their souls, in front of their Lord in order to please them. But the members of the household of the Holy Prophet distinguished themselves. Ali's endeavor was unique at this battle. When Hanzala ibn Abu Sufyan faced him, Ali liquefied his eyes with one blow from his sword. He annihilated Aus ibn Sa'id, and he met Tu'ayma ibn Uday and transfixed him with the spear, saying, "You shall not dispute us with God, in God, after today." You shall not dispute us. After today, when it comes to God, there should not be any dispute, none whatsoever. The Muslims went on this rampage, this offense that was taking place while they were also being attacked. They were responding equally. So they responded by killing 70 of them, and then they took 70 of them as prisoners. 20 to 22 of them died alone in the hand of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. Place and the time when this battle took place is also very unique. Badr is a small village between Mecca and Medina. Some of the ghazawat of the Prophet are named after the village where this battle or that particular ghazwa took place. Most important one is Battle of Badr Kubra. That's why I said there was other Badr Ula, and then this is Badr Kubra. This battle took place, of course, on the 17th day of the month of Ramadan in the second year after Hijrah between Muslims and the Mushrikeen of Mecca. What are some of the lessons that we can derive from this battle? As Muslims, what can we learn? Just the fact that, this was initial battle, initial big test and the big battle for the Muslims, and how Muslims were granted victory by which, it strengthened Islam, it strengthened Muslims. There are many things. I recited this ayat, and there are many other ayat that are associated with this battle. For example, ayat number 13 of Surah Al Imran also hints toward some of the lessons that we can derive from this battle known as Battle of Badr. قَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ آيَةٌ فِي فِئَتَيْنِ الْتَقَطْ. That indeed there's a certainly sign for you in the two hosts that met. فِئَةٌ تُقَاتِلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَأُخْرَى كَافِرَةٌ يَرَوْنَهُمْ مِثْلَيْهِمْ رَأْيَ الْعَيْنِ. One host fighting in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the other faithless, who saw them as visibly twice as many. one of the interesting facts is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the Muslims see the opponent little. And on the contrary, the kuffar saw the Muslim army to be large. And so right away, that is also a blow to you when you see that the enemy that you're facing is less in numbers. Now, all this while, the kuffar were thinking that Muslims are not that many. But when they saw the number of them, they were overwhelmed. Allah strengthens whomever He wishes with His help. There is indeed a moral in that for those who have insight. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided this insight. He provided this help, whether it was in the form of angels, whether it was in the form of imagination that was given to the Muslims, that they started thinking right away that, kuffar are not that many. We thought there'd be a lot in number, but they're really not that many. And they're something that we can actually easily achieve. On the other hand, the kuffar, they were thinking the Muslims, they brought a lot of people with them. It's a large army. We had underestimated them, and we were wrong in doing so. It is apparent from the tone of the verse that it wants to remind Muslims that and teach them a few lessons according to their individual understandings. For example, one of the lessons which can be derived is that a small army can overcome a large army. Yes, as long as you're determined, as long as you're faithful, and you worry about, of course, winning, but you worry about the objective that you have come for. And if you keep in your mind and your perspective the objective that you have come forth, then the result doesn't really matter to you. Because at the end of the day, if you achieve a victory, then you're a hero. And if you die, you're a martyr. So either way, you achieve something which is noble. But as long as you keep your perspective in front of you, and that's what matters. The small army can overcome larger army, help from the angels, help from the unseen, economical ambitions, such as taking back what belonged to the Muslims from the enemy. In yakun minkum ishruna sabirun yaghlibu mi'atain. If there were 20 amongst you who were sabir, 20 amongst you who showed patience. Yes, patience is the key which can give them the ability to overcome people which are 10 times more. Ishrun, 20, compared with 200. وَإِن يَكُم مِّنكُم مِّئَةٌ يَغْلِبُوا أَلْفًا. And if there were amongst you 100, then of course they'll overcome 1,000. So over there were 313 and there were 950. So therefore they were able to achieve this. Some of the Mufassirin have extracted the following lessons. The only aim of jihad and battle should be God, as I mentioned before, helping the religious cause. Hence we derive the concept of fi sabilillah. Number 2, help from the unseen is to cause fear in the heart of the enemy. Whether they were there, angels, were they assisting or not, all that is up there. Did they really do anything? Did they actually take part in striking the enemies? All of that is up for debate. But at least it showed to the kuffar and the pagans as if there are a lot of them. Battle of Badr displayed the power of Allah over the creation, and that the only materialistic source or the resources aren't sufficient for victory. يُؤَيِّدُ بِنَصْرِهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ, he said in this ayah, that Allah chooses whomever He wishes to as far as His help is concerned. Although God may help whoever He wishes, but the condition for His help is that people come out in support of His religion. So don't think for a second that Allah does not support you. As long as you are strong and determined and faithful in something that you want to achieve, which is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for a better good of humanity, then yes, you will be helped and you will achieve this help. Objectives behind the mentioning of important historical events such as Battle of Badr is to take ibrat and the heed that all these pagans, they were considering themselves, they were bragging and boasting that they're large in numbers, They can achieve whatever they want to. They were, looking at the Muslims, belittling them, that they're not many and they will not be able to stand up against them. They already had this grudge from the very beginning, the moment they set out their foot to, out of Mecca on this battle. Although when the trouble was over, still they persisted because they had another objective behind them, that is to humiliate the Muslims, while Muslims had all the right in the world to take back what belonged to them. Although these events have lessons for everyone, but God says only people with insight, those who are ulul absar, right? They are the ones who will be able to take morals from it. Just like Hudan lil Muttaqeen, that this Quran is for everyone, but the nur of sun only passes through a clean glass. If the glass is polluted and there's pollution in it, then of course the sunlight will not go through it clearly. Signs of angels that came for the help of Muslims. Bala, in tasbiru wa tattaqu ya'tukum min fawrihim hadha yumdidkum rabbukum bi khamsati alafin min al malaikati musawwimin. Again, Surah Al Imran, ayat number 125. Yes, if you are steadfast and God-weary, and should they come at you suddenly, your Lord will aid you with 5,000 angels set it into the battle. Now, did these angels really come down in the number of 5,000 to go ahead and assist? Or it was just given as a sign? Musawwimin comes from the word sum, sin, waw, mim, in the meaning of having signs. In the past, animals and slaves were marked with seals in order to keep a sense of the ownership. Yes, these days you mark the animals. If you ever been to, before the beginning of Baqra Eid, at least in the Muslim countries, people go and they buy these animals. And so, there's this whole area where animals are there and people are buying them. So how do the owners keep track of which belongs to them? They all look the same. And they go ahead and mark them. Musawwimin means that. Keeping this in mind, the angels that descended with Hazrat Jibreel to help Prophet and the companions in the Battle of Badr wore turbans. For this reason, they were called Musawwimin. So that's sign. So this tafsir tells you that they actually were physically present. So that enlarged the number of the Muslims. Second, we find that there are many traditions supporting this. For example, Imam Rada والسلام, he said Musawwimin refers to the turbans angels wore in the Badr. Prophet wore a turban and left two sides hanging. This tahtul hanak that we call it, even some of the ulama, when they wear this amama, they leave what is called tahtul hanak hanging in the chest, and Jibreel did the same thing. Again, another tradition from our fifth Imam, Imam Muhammad Baqir والسلام, he said angels wore turbans in the Battle of Badr, which had loose end, and that is to resemble what usually, back in the day, everyone wore turban. Whether you were a scholar or not, you were wearing a turban. That was part of their, dress code. Primarily because it's so hot in Arabia that if you don't wear anything to cover your head, then of course it'll be it could be devastating to you. So even today, when you go for Hajj and Ziyarat, you find the locals, they keep something on their head, some sort of shawl or something which covers their head. So therefore, we find that the Holy Prophet in this while he's, wearing this turban, these angels who came down, they were also wearing the similar turbans. It is worth mentioning that angels that came for the help in Battle of Badr never went back up to the heavens and will not go back until the time of Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Faraj Sharif, and after his reappearance. All 5,000 of them, according to one of the tafasir known as Tafsir Ayyashi. Did Prophet give orders to deprive mushrikeen from accessing water? A lot of these shubuhat and the doubts are created that this war was not a fairly, tackled war, that there were a lot of discrepancies from the beginning, such as Prophet deprived mushrikeen from accessing water. It will become clear with proofs that Muslims never deprived their enemies of water. This was a thing that we saw throughout, that even in the time when Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib والسلام, in the Battle of Siffin, the same occurrence happens, that Imam and his companions, they take over the water, but they don't deprive the enemy of water. And the same thing when we see Imam Hussein along with his companions, when he meets Hur, who was dying of thirst, had come to arrest Imam and was dying of thirst. Imam could have just let him die. But instead, Imam provided water to him and as well as to his animals, even to that last individual who was standing in line waiting for water to be given. So we see that no, Prophet did give order to fill the wells with stones to shut them down. But this wasn't intended to deprive the enemy from water. Rather, it was a war tactic. In fact, history tells us that the pagans used to drink from the wells, all the wells in the area. But, Tabari mentions that when pagans would access the wells, some Muslims tried to prevent them. The Prophet said, no, let them drink. For whoever drinks from the water will indeed die in this battle, and it came true. The reason behind filling rest of the wells with stone is not to deprive them of water, keeping in mind that within couple of farsakh of battlefield of Badr, water was available. It wasn't that, it was scarce in that area. And that one well which Muslim used was accessible for the pagans as well. And therefore those two men, that Imam Ali and other individuals, Zubair ibn Awan and others, had gone at night time, sent by the Holy Prophet to keep a lookout on the Quraysh, and they apprehended two of their men who were trying to take water. That means they were free to go ahead and take water from those wells. But the real reasons are as follows. Number one, obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Abbas narrates the Prophet descended at a place in Battle of Badr, to which Habab ibn Mandar suggested, it is not a good place. We will go close to the enemy's ranks, where we will dig a pond and place our tools in it. We'll drink water and fight the enemy and close off the heads of the wells. Jibreel descended and said to the Prophet, accept Habab's suggestions. Prophet obliged. To limit the circle of battle, that is again a war tactic. You don't want them to be, all scattered around, so they can come back and they can attack from various directions. You want your walls, yourselves to be situated in a way that nobody can come from behind. So you're always looking out in front. So these were some of the tactics that were applied. So to limit the circle of the battle, Sulaiman ibn Harb, from Hamad ibn Zayd, who narrates from Yahya ibn Sa'id, who said, Prophet consulted with people on the day of Battle of Badr. Habab ibn Mandar got up and suggested that we are here to fight, and we think that it is our interest that we close the head of the wells, except one well, to limit the circle of battle, to keep them near the well. So that was the reason. So that, they're only going to be using this one well for water, because water is indeed important. You're suffering at that heat of Arabia, and water is the only source for your survival. So they'll remain close to this well, and they won't go around to the other wells, and therefore the circle of our fight will be limited. There are other discussions in this reference as well, but I'll skip through some of them. With these proofs, though, we can deduce the fact that nobody was actually deprived of water. Rather, water was given throughout. That one well which both sides were sharing was available to them. This battle was an important battle for Islam and Muslimin. It gave and lifted their morale, boosted their position, and they were able to come out as a force against the pagans of Makkah. And the only reason they were able to come on top is because of their altruism, their ithar, their determination, and their willingness to stand side by side with the Holy Prophet. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Thank you very much for paying attention and listening. As you know, the program started at 9:15, so that's why it went up to close to 10:15. And inshallah, as I had announced, keep a lookout on the emails, and the programs moving forward will also be in the similar fashion. But tomorrow, being the Laylatul Qadr, the first night of the Qadr. Inshallah, we will have the program at the same time, but there will be majlis, inshallah, after the recitation of Dua Iftitah, followed by the Amal. At around 10 o'clock, inshallah, we will start with majlis. As always, inshallah, towards the end, we will recite this dua together. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم أدخل على أهل القبور السرور اللهم أغني كل فقير اللهم واشبه كل جائع اللهم اكس كل عريان اللهم اغز دين كل مدين اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب اللهم رد كل غريب اللهم فك كل أسير اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين اللهم اشف كل مريض اللهم اشف كل مريض اللهم اشف كل مريض اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك اللهم اغز عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر إنك على كل شيء قدير اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد متوجه زيارة السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا نبي الله السلام عليك يا حبيب الله السلام عليك يا خيرة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله السلام عليك وعلى جدك وأبيك وعلى أمك وأخيك ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس وعنيس النفوس أيها المدفون بأرض طوفل ابن موسى رضا ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا صاحب الأسر والزمان السلام عليك إمام الإنس والجان السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أعوانك وانصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته اللهم صل. Inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. with the group recitation of Holy Quran. Until then, take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.